Hello folks, welcome to the canal channel Jose. Today we're going to show you how I grease up the bearings on the rear wheels of this car. And for that we'll show you the materials and the process of how I do it. So before you start taking this apart, make sure you got your car secure on jack stands. You got it all secure, the wheels won't roll forward or rear, and make sure that your e-brake is off, especially for this car, that we have to take this whole drum unit off, but we got to take this cap off first, and for that we got to split it with a screwdriver. So to get all this off, we gotta get this pin out, and once we take that off, we take this little cap off. It's a sheet metal cap off, so that keeps the nut from spinning and loosening itself. So now we gotta take that off, and then taking the nut off, so this whole drum piece comes out. And for this, we're gonna use a 22 millimeter socket. So now we have taken that nut off, we can pull our drum piece and push it just a little bit forward, so we get this washer that keeps the bearing, it pushes against it. So we take that off, and we can see our bearing right in there. Okay folks, so we have our outer bearing, drum bearing, and our inner drum bearing. And that's not just it. Behind this bearing there's a seal, and that keeps the grease from getting out of this place and getting into our brakes. That's very important to be there, and if it's damaged, you want to take it and replace it, because we'll take them off and we'll show you. But I want to show you, I clean them a little bit, and we're gonna clean them and re-grease them. Now we just clean them, and we make sure our seal is in good conditions and not replace it. Once you clean them, make sure there's no dust or dirt that gets into these guys, because that's gonna be the worst enemy you can get into these bearings right now. We get ready to grease them up, so we put them away and we clean our drum. Now that we clean our bearings, we gotta clean our drum from the inside where the bearings sit. We gotta clean it really good, and make sure once you're doing that, not to get any grease on this surface where the shoes touch, because then it would be a bad scenario. So today, before we start putting our bearings in, we're gonna grease them up, and I'm using this full synthetic Ultimate Performance, and it's gives us a bunch of description, but it says recommended for use in all wheel bearings. So I'm trusting that is for drums. So before we start, we're gonna put our first the seal, and then we're gonna put our bearing and grease them up outside. And you want to make sure you get that grease all the way in the grooves. Pack it in, move it around. And they make tools just for this. But we're doing it estilo El Chano Jose. And just take your time, and the grease will get right in there. So, and don't drop it, because at this point, if we drop it, we gotta start all over on cleaning it and then re-greasing it. So, looking good. So now we put it on the drum. And also, folks, we gotta fit some grease right in that opening, right in the middle. So, because just by the putting it on the bearing, it's not gonna be enough. We wanna put some in there just in case the bearing doesn't starve of lubrication. And now that we're doing our bearings, this is a good chance to inspect our brakes and our systems in case it needs shoes. So this is a good point to see if anything is out of the normal situation, so we can replace it. It looks good. So now we put our drum back in. Now we push our drum back, and we make sure our bearing is sit all the way back, and we start putting all the items back as they were. Now that we have put our nut, the holes, everything down, we tighten it by hand, and then we tighten it with our ratchet. And then we don't need too much force, we just snug it. And then, see, because you over tightening it, you're gonna be compressing it and forcing it, and it's gonna be even worse. So at this point, we even have our cotter pin in there holding everything. So what we do, we add just a little bit of grease on top of this, and we put our cap, protecting cap, on. Okay folks, so at this point, once you put your protecting cap, before we put our tire, we spin it by hand and make sure it spins and we don't have weird noises coming out of this, or we don't feel grinding or nothing out of the normal. So it looks good. So now we just put our tire and we're almost done. in this video we use the pliers to get the cutter pin off, the 21 millimeter socket for the lug nuts, and then the 122 millimeter socket for the internal nut that holds the drum and everything against the spindle. So, and the grease also. And once you clean it, make sure you get rid of those rags the proper way. So with that said, safety tips is use jack stands, and always secure your wheels that are gonna be touching the ground so that way your car don't roll while you're doing this. And remember folks, whatever you do to one side, you wanna do it to the other side, so that way you have even maintenance performed to your car. We know what we got on both sides of our wheels, and we can check our brakes, and that way we know that both sides are even. So remember, do one side and do the other side.